I don't know whether this is working or not. Okay, I think we're live. Hello chat. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and today is the day where I return to live streaming. There's actually been a reason why there's been no video today or content from me today up until just now, and that is because, well, I've been having my toilet, like, I guess, replaced. So that's why there has not been a video uploaded today. I was planning on getting something out, but couldn't record anything today for that reason. But me being me, I naturally, wanted to make some content. I've also just noticed, like, the option for sharing the stream, like the little link is like completely gone from my YouTube studio, so I'm not 100% sure how I share the stream now. You can tell I haven't done this in a while. I think they've updated their user interface, since YouTube has very recently. There's that little @ thing now underneath every channel name, which I must say makes the channel look slightly more ugly, but that's just my opinion. That's just what YouTube's decided to do. I mean, the @ing system's been around for a while, but yeah, it's weird that, like, I can't seem to find the link. Okay, I've got it on my studio app, so I'm just going to share out the link to everyone so everyone joins. As you may be able to tell whilst I'm going through that, the goal of today's stream is we are going to be ranking the Whittaker-era now that it's completed in a tier list. Review of Death actually recently did this and have provided. I found their tier list on Tier Maker, so yeah, we're basically going to be ranking the Whittaker-era from its beginnings to its ends now that it is complete. I think an important thing to note for this, I hope I sound alright by the way, let me just move my microphone a bit there. Like, the general rule for this is that I'm going to be ranking this, like, era within the context of itself. So, like, when I say something is S tier, it's S tier for this era. It doesn't necessarily mean that it matches the S tier of the Moffat or RTD eras, because in a lot of cases I don't think it does. But, that's just to establish the rules, basically. Also, thank you to everyone who checked out yesterday's video on, let me just double check. Yeah, you guys can see that. That's just where I sent the link out. Thank you to everyone who supported the the collection tour yesterday. That was a bit of a change of pace for me, and I really enjoyed making that video, so I hope you guys did as well. Yeah, my goal with the channel of recent is kind of just been to make sure that you guys have stuff to watch every single day. It has been a lot, I'm not gonna lie, but I've been enjoying it, and I wouldn't do it if I wasn't finding it at least somewhat manageable. But there, so yeah, I've sent out the link on Twitter and YouTube now, so hopefully people start piling in. Yeah, YT Studio has had a redesign. Yeah, I don't like it. In the words of the first Doctor, the second Doctor rather, you've redecorated. I don't like it. Great vid yesterday. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it myself. It's not done as well as, like, other videos, but that's to be expected. News stuff is always, like, the biggest draw. But I still enjoyed making it nonetheless. And I'm planning, like, as sort of the years go by, to keep it updated as well. One question regarding your tour bed. Where did you get the Cyberman head? You know what? I was editing the video last night, and I regretted not including that little factoid in there, because I knew I was going to get, and I did get a couple comments about it. The Cyberman head, Dennis, or Mike Hawk, as some of you like to call him, is actually from a Facebook seller. I forget the name of now, but he basically had the blueprints for the original design. So it's a screen accurate Cyberman head that's been, modern made. Review of Death recently did this, so you copied them. Yeah, essentially, they put their tier list on Tier Maker, and I thought, well, I haven't had time to record anything else today because I've been, having my toilet repaired or installed or whatever the word is. So, yeah, that's why we're doing this, because I hadn't had anything else lined up. But yeah, it was a Facebook seller who makes them via the original blueprints, so it's accurate, but it's new, if that makes sense. It's not like an original prop. It is a replica, but it's pretty much as close to an original prop without paying original prop prices. Like, it's a lot cheaper than the what they called that do the heads and the Daleks. Is it this planet Earth? I think it's a lot cheaper than that. It was only like 100 and a bit pound, which is a lot better than a lot of the other prices for Cyberman heads. But yes, enough rambling. Today is the day that we do our final ranking of the Whittaker era, the Chris Chibnall era, all that fun stuff. I also wanted to say as well, on the theme of the Whittaker era, I didn't really have another place to bring this up, so I felt, you know what, why not? We'll bring it up now. The Sega Nakanola has decided to release his soundtracks for the specials. We've got the digital release dates are being separated for each episode, and then there's a combined physical album that's going to be released on the 13th of January. So yeah, if you're into your soundtracks, they have been announced. Also, there has been some pictures of Ncuti Gatwa and Yasmin Finney at some awards ceremony. Let me see if I can find that. And then we'll get to the ranking stuff. So yeah. To be fair, full credit to Review of Death though, because they made the tier list. I'm just using it for this stream. Their podcast was very good today though, so I'd highly suggest going to watch that if you've not or listened to it, because I know it's on Spotify and YouTube, so whatever floats you. But yeah, so here's a picture of Yasmin Finney and Ncuti Gatwa. I think they're at Kit Connor at British GQ. Apparently, there's also pictures of Ncuti Gatwa like Man of the Year awards, something like that. He looks great. So yeah, just thought that was a cool little thing. But price reveal for Mike Hawk. Yeah, it was. I remember it being quite cheap, all things considered. Yeah, I did have the 11 TARDIS, okay. I mean, I'm meeting, to be fair to me, right, okay, I am, because I saw your comment in the Discord, Atomize, saying I wasn't a true 11th Doctor fan. How dare you, the sacrilege. I'm the 11th Doctor fan. I'm actually meeting him in like 2 days. I'm meeting Matt Smith like 2 days. Yeah, so that'll be a video that you guys can expect real soon, is my con video. That'll be fun. But yeah. Without all the dilly-dallying, shall we get into what we're doing? Also, feel free to like the stream if you've just joined, very much appreciated. And yeah, let's get into it. So here, this is actually, you can see it's from Review of Death. We've got the complete selection of Jodie Whittaker stories from Woman Who Fell to Earth all the way to Power of the Doctor. Now, the fun thing about this one is, I haven't rewatched a lot of these, so I mean, I've rewatched some of them a couple of times across the years, but like not recently in a lot of cases, with the exception of things like I guess Power of the Doctor, which was only, you know, broadcast a matter of weeks ago. But yeah, so this is going to be mostly based on my own memory, and then chat can kind of, if I get anything wrong, you're going to be like my, I don't know, my informants. Is that the right word? More like, you know, my sort of fact checkers. So if I get anything wrong about any of these episodes, because some of them I can remember pretty well, and then others like, yeah, I don't know, I have no idea. You know, like I'm not like Jay who rewatched them 10 times to make that 5-hour video. You know. But with that said, I'm not sure what order to best approach this in. I am sort of thinking, should I go in order of where it's been set or order of episodes? What do you guys think? Whatever you guys say is what I'll do. Do you want me to go in episode order or order of just where they appear on the list? Advisors, yeah. Wait, are you having a green screen photo or a normal photo? Just a normal photo. Actually, no, because, well, I've got the diamond pass, so I think it's a normal photo, an autograph, and, what do you call it? Like a gift as well? I think, something like that. Hello there, it's nice to meet you. Hello! Episode, but backwards, episode. Okay, so the general vibe I'm getting is you guys want episode order. So in that case, that is what I'll do, I guess. Yeah, we'll do episode order. So in that case, that starts us off. Well, let me find Woman Who Fell to Earth first. There we are. That's a very dark image of Woman Who Fell to Earth. I know that's when they've popped down the train. Okay, so I think what would be fun about this is to sort of go over my like initial thoughts, like as the episode aired, and then how I've come to view the episode over time, right? So I think when this episode aired, I was sort of obviously brand new era, didn't know what to expect. I came away from it thinking it was like fine. It was like a solid start, you know. And I think over the years, as we've become accustomed to the Chibnall sort of writing techniques, you can sort of see the beginnings of a lot of them here. Like I mentioned in my Chibnall era critique video that a lot of the, you know, multiple locations and sort of multiple threats going on at once kind of originate at the very start of the era. You know, you've got so many characters to introduce, you know, so many elements. I do think some of the dialogue is a bit clunky. Tim Shaw as an introductory villain is fine, but like he should not have been the end game of the series. But I guess we'll get to that when we get to it. Yeah, it's I always found it weird that they don't play the title sequence. I think that's really odd. Like I don't know why that was done. There's even the perfect place to insert the title sequence as well when she falls through the train. And it goes rum 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 rum, and it just stops. It's like just play the title sequence. I don't know. That's always been really odd to me. It's not a terrible story, but it's one that I find it's one that I don't really revisit. I like its cliffhanger at the end. I'm just trying to remember all the different aspects of it. Grace dies, which I mean, yeah, her death is a bit weird because obviously they play up in like series 11 that you know, Graham is you know, mad at Tim Shaw for killing Grace, when really it's that squid thing that, like, knocks her off a crane. I know that the squid thing is, like, working for Tim Shaw or whatever, collecting whatever he needs, but even still, I don't know, it just doesn't quite have the same effect you think, you know, I think they were going for. I'm struggling, because I think, as I said in my opening to this video, this is within the context of the era itself. So, I think within the context of the era, I'm sort of going on a B or a C. It's not anything special. So I think I'm gonna go in C. That feels right. Do we agree, chat? Do we disagree? What are we thinking? Hello, my best friend Theris. Hello. The great fear of all is teeth. Yes. The Motive to Earth is the only episode where Ryan's character is handled adequately. Not great, but not as offensive as it would later be. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, I think his dyspraxia is fine. It bugs me that the likes of his YouTube channel never get brought up again, though. It kind of just, in the nicest possible way, it just sort of feels like 11th Hour, but not as good. And more going on. A cliffhanger that they resolve immediately, yeah. Don't get me wrong, the resolution to the cliffhanger isn't great, but the cliffhanger itself is cool. Like, the visual of it is cool when they get ejected into space. I think I'm pretty happy with C tier. I thought it was one of her better episodes and really solid overall. I'd have it a little bit higher. Yeah, I was teetering on a B. I think it's just... I think for a B, I'd have to, like, you know, want to rewatch it more, because that's the thing. The way I sort of, I guess, analyze stuff is not only in terms of quality, but how much I enjoyed watching it. So there are episodes, for argument's sake, that I would say are worse written, possibly, but are more enjoyable in certain ways, and I guess we'll get to that. The companions were not great, and one died straight away. Yeah, that's true. The companions, admittedly, aren't off to the best start. Compared to the rest of the era, I give it a B. I mean, to be fair, these aren't hard and fast placements. Maybe I'll feel once the, you know, more of the list is fleshed out, it will change. But as of right now, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm sticking it at C. Also, if you are new and you've just joined the stream, feel free to like the stream. Let's see if we can get to, I don't know, 30 likes just now. Also, subscribe. We're literally like 5 subscribers away from, I think, 17,300. We're really close. So yeah, any help to push us over that line would be very much appreciated. But yeah, with that said, let's go into the next episode with The Ghost Monument. This is second episode of the series, and I would say it's significantly weaker than the Woody Earth. The thing is about the Ghost Monument is that, like, for the most part, it looks nice, but it has basically nothing else going for it. It is just sort of 50 minutes of characters wandering about a desert for a bit, and then they find the TARDIS at the end. It's like, oh, cool. Nice. Like there's not there's not much else to it. You know, they introduce some cool ideas like, oh, this water's made of acid or whatever it is, but like we never see the acid damage. We never see the water damage anything, and those weird rag things. I mean, I used to call them the toilet paper. Um, yeah, it looks alright, but it's a D. It's a D for me. It's so dull. I've seen this one kind of get reappraised, um, over the years, and whilst I can respect its like cinematography in some places, that like I said, it's all style and no substance. There's nothing to this one. It's like it's way pathetic. Like it's literally 50 minutes of them walking around a desert, and then it's like because the thing is the idea of like an outer space kind of space race Hunger Games type scenario is one that's genuinely really fun. And I remember like coming up with a rewrite for this story in which the essential premise would be okay, so like the characters are on the planet and you'd have each alien like fighting to get hold of the TARDIS to either sell it off or get off the planet or something. You could do a really fun thing with this, and you can kind of do it like End of the World, where you introduce all the various different creatures of like the era, and then have them basically have a grand introduction like End of the World did. Instead, they just kind of have, because that's another thing I've noticed about this era as well. You'll notice a lot of their aliens, quote unquote, are just humans with slightly different planet names. And like it does make the world feel a little bit less unique, and I think a little bit less what's the word I'm looking for? Like sort of varied and distinct, I think is the word. Speaking of rewrites, is Discord Rights Who's still happening? I am planning on still doing it. It's just been pushed back a bit because to be honest, I've just had like I've been so busy with other things, I've got like 2 cons that I'm going to, and obviously just keeping the channel going every day. But like I am planning on doing it. It's just been pushed back a little bit due to other things. Oh, I just remember the Call of Duty scene. Oh yeah, well it gets a D rank for that alone. C tier for me. Should have kept the TARDIS lost for a few stories at least. To be fair, I don't mind that they find it in episode 2. I just wish that they'd have found it in a more fun way. Although I do agree, the premise of, the Doctor sort of having to, like, what I guess, like, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Like, build, like, sort of scrappy ways for them to, fly across the universe. It's a fun premise, but yeah, I don't mind that they find it in the second episode. It's just that they don't do anything with the premise. Ryan commits murder multiple times. I mean, aren't they robots? To be fair, like I don't mind it when it's robots as much. I think the camera angles in the triple episode are boring, colorless, aren't pleasing to the eyes. I don't think it looks too bad in this story, but I would agree in some stories there's way too many close-ups. Yeah, but with that said, let's go to Rosa next. I think my dog just barked, so apologies if anyone heard that. But Rosa, where is it? So can I be completely honest here? I've never really got the hype for Rosa. It's a story of 2 halves because I think it's really obvious that 2 different people wrote this story. I think that its best moments, i.e., a lot of the more personal moments and more real moments, were probably written by Mallory Blackman. But the Krasko racist guy feels very Chibnall, very sci-fi camp 80s sort of vibe, and it's like it's a tonal clash to me. I don't think the tones fit together very well at all personally. I do sort of think that, I mean, this is always a hard topic to broach, and I'm not going to claim to be an authority on it, but I think, and I'm not going to try to equate different forms of bigotry, but I do think its approach to bigotry's always kind of rang a little bit hollow to me. It's kind of just like baby's first racism, like, class. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's not bad, but it just feels a little bit... I think it's that scene at the end as well when you've got, like, Rosa, and they're like, oh, that asteroid got named after Rosa Parks. It just feels a bit CBBC, vibes, if you get what I'm trying to say. Um, I don't think it's as bad as Ghost Monument, not by quite a bit, but I think Woman Who Fell to Earth might go up actually. I'm gonna put Woman Who Fell to Earth up to a B. I'm changing my mind already, and Rose is gonna go into C tier. I think that might upset some people, but honestly, that's where I would put it. Like it's not terrible, but it's not one that I've really got the hype for. The easiest way to kill my visiting character, have them pretend they know a skill because of a video game. Okay, bye. I guess I'm gonna watch this later. No worries. I'll see you later. The Village Rosa was very tone deaf. It's just very one note. It's very simplistic. Like you look at the ways that I guess to think of another example, like I'm just trying to think of a good example where like in like years and years, the way Russell T Davies plays with how certain groups are sort of weaponized for the benefit of the government and stuff. And there's a lot of, very interesting. And obviously, I know the Doctor Who can't go as deep as that, but like it does just feel a little bit surface level, like that. Even things like Planet of the Ood, where you've got that line from the 10th Doctor being like, Donna goes something like, "I haven't got any slaves," and then the 10th Doctor goes, "Who do you think made your clothes?" You know what I mean? There's that sort of more real sort of, I guess, statement being made, whereas in Rosa it's just like, this thing is bad, and it's like, yeah, I agree, but like there's not much else to it. Tell me I know nothing about the Rosa in America without telling me that. Are you on about the episode or me? um Yeah, I don't like that the Doctor just sort of stands by passively, especially when a series prior you've got like the tenth Doctor, the 12th Doctor, like punching that racist. Have I watched Inferno? Yes, I have. I've seen you post that question a few times now, but yes, I have. If I don't answer a question immediately, it's not because have it's not because I'm ignoring you or anything. It's just sometimes I get busy with other things. I mean, look, fair enough if you disagree with my take on that. I just think it's incredibly surface level and quite hollow. I've always kind of felt that way about it. Oh yeah, the ending. I mean, look, the ending would be really good, right? But the problem with the ending for me has always been the music. I really don't like the pop music at the end. I think it ruins the vibe of the scene. I think otherwise it's a good scene. I just don't really like. I'm interested to see if episodes make it into S tier. So yeah, with in terms of S tier, as I said previously, the kind of goal is, yeah, the pop song killed it. I agree, it does kill the tone of that scene super hard. Like with S tier, they probably will because I'm rating the era within the context of itself. So I'm not gonna have like, when I'm putting something in S tier, I'm not gonna think, well, would this be an S tier in like an RTD list or a Moffat list, because these are, this is just the Chibnall era. But anyway, I think we'll move on from that one because I think I've waited on about this one long enough. We'll go for arachnids in the UK. Arachnids in the UK next. And oh, is there a bot? Is there a below D? No. Yeah, this is like probably the worst so far. Again, I know some people who like this one. I don't for the life of me get why. The spiders look nice. I don't. Well, nice is the wrong word. They're visually well realized enough. Um, Jack Robertson again is incredibly one note to me, very cartoonish. Um, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I love taking the mick out of Trump, but it's like, I don't know. It's just, I think he feels like he's in a different episode to everyone else. Um, I don't know. Like, there's some nice scenes with Graham where, like, I guess the what's it called, like the ghost of grace is like, oh, don't keep moping about this house, go on have your adventures in the TARDIS. That was my Sheffield accent for you. And it's like, yeah, The ending scene, I do think they make the wrong moral choice, as I think many people have gone over for many different reasons. Like, I I am in no way an advocate for guns in any way, but what Jack Robertson did is objectively, in my opinion, a more humane way of, killing a creature than let's let it suffocate to death until it dies in agony. It didn't. No, that's not the better choice in that situation at all. I'm trying to think what else happens in this. We get introduced to Yaz's family. They never really do anything. They're fine. They're very, like, again, very simple. The end, like the whole plot feels very sort of like rushed in its conclusion. I'd say this is the first example where it properly feels like that. And I think that became like a running thing. Like they just sort of leave those spiders in that building, and then they're like, "The day is saved." It's like, is it? Is it? And then they have that scene at the end where they go on board the TARDIS. And the thing I love about that is that like they both Graham and Ryan have like these like really cool reasons for, or like not cool, but they're like, it's understandable reasons for wanting to join the TARDIS. So Graham's like, hey, I can't be around that house, it just reminds me too much of Grace. It reminds me too much of that pain and the loss. And then Ryan's like, hey, I don't want to go back to working in that warehouse. So like I want to do something else. And then Yaz is just like, I want to do more. I don't like my family. It's like, all right, Yaz. To be fair, Yaz did get more later on, but in series 11 at least, it's very much she's very much not the focus. There was a meme in series 11 of like Yaz is there too, and ironically, that role shifted across the two subsequent series. As I would argue, it's more became Graham was there too in series 12, and then series 13 is more like Dan is also there. But yeah, Arachnids, it's not great. Again, has some nice shots, but overall, it's just not very good. And the same could be said. Can you tell I'm not really a big fan of Series 11? With the Saranga conundrum, I personally think, that the run of episodes from Rosa is much more historically accurate than other episodes in the Chamberlain. I mean, fair enough. I'm not going to pretend like like I'm an expert on the topic. It's just for me, I think the dialogue feels incredibly one note. But yeah. Yeah, Saranga is also a D tier episode. Like I think personally, the run of Arachnids and then Saranga next to each other was the moment retrospectively where I was looking at this series kind of going, oh god, this isn't very good. Which was a shame because I was genuinely rooting for it at the time. But like, yes, these two episodes in quick succession really killed any hype I had. Because up to this point, like, for the most part, I kind of felt that the series was fine, if unextraordinary. Arachnids and Saranga are the point where I'm kind of like, yeah, this isn't very good. Yeah, I don't really even remember much about this one. You have the lady with the heart, who's like the captain, and they pilot the ship, and the guy from 4 O'Clock Club's there, and there's the pregnant man, I forgot about that. And again, I also think that the message is a bit poorly handled there as well, because Ryan's dad is estranged, like, he basically convinces the dad, no, don't leave the child, you've got to raise it. And I'm like, but if the guy doesn't feel equipped to raise it, I don't know whether that's the best message to give. Trying to think what else happens in this. There's like one good character that calls out the doctor on their like stuff, which doesn't happen much in the era, but then he immediately gets ejected into space. So it's almost like the story's self-aware, like, no, we can't have someone question the doctor for more than 5 seconds without them getting ejected. What else? What else even happens in this? The Pating is cute, but like, I don't think he's... I am not convinced that the design of the Pating wasn't completely different when they were scripting this, and then, like, they chose a final design for the Pating, but the script remained the same, because they like, hype it up as, like, this big, dangerous threat to the universe and something they're all terrified of, and then you look at it, and it's the most adorable thing you've ever seen. Like, it just doesn't have the effect. Like, I remember people rewriting this with like weeping angels on board the ship, slowly taking people out. And while I'm not saying it needed to be weeping angels, just any more threatening villain would have made this a much. You could have sort of done like a sort of like a horror piece with it, and it would have been fun. But no, it's just very bland, isn't it? Yeah, I don't really feel like there's much more to say about that one. Was this pre or post Baby Yoda? I believe it was pre Baby Yoda, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Mandalorian came out in 2019, so yeah, the thing was first. So a trendsetter in many ways. The Android guy, yeah, the Android guy's there as well. Gotta love, I don't want this baby. Yes, you are. I'm not ready. Yes, you are. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I don't think it's a great message at all. I've never liked that message at all. I think visually it looks fine. Again, like one of the most consistent points of praise I can give this era for the most part. There are some rocky bits later on, but for Series 11 at least, it looks pretty good for the most part. Like, I think that's something I can sort of say for most of them. Um, yeah, not much else to say. With that said, what's next? We got Demons of the Punjab. Um, like again, it's probably on a similar level to Rosa to me. I'd say I prefer the Thajarians as a threat than I do Krasko. But again, it's not one they go back and rewatch particularly often. Both Rosa and Demons have, I think people have described it as kind of like ITV drama Doctor Who, and I do definitely get that vibe from it. Like, it does just sort of feel like an ITV drama with like the Doctor Who team just sort of plopped in the middle. Again, it's not bad. I probably would put it on a similar level to Rosa. I mean, maybe slightly above. Um, Probably go for B. I think that feels about right. I mean, I think it's difficult because I think if we're going off enjoyment, I'd go probably about on the same as Rosa. But I guess like on writing levels, it would be above Rosa just because it's a bit more, I think, well executed and a little bit less tonally mixed. There kind of needs to be a gap between B and C. Uh, I'll keep it here for now, and then maybe I'll change it later on. That feels right, but it might move up to B. But it's not a bad episode. It's just not one that I like. It's just not made for me. You know what I mean? It's just sometimes you can acknowledge when a piece of television is good, but it's not for you. I know a lot of people love this one. I'm just not one of those people. Demons is a 10 out of 10 episode with a 3 out of 10 fighting for control. Yeah, I kind of get that. You can order them by rank within tiers if you're unsure. Yeah, that's kind of what I've done so far. In that case, I probably would put Rosa above if I do that. So if we say that's the top, then yeah, that feels about right actually. Yeah. Okay, so it's ranked by the tiers are so this is the best of the tier, this far side, and then it goes worse from there. Kablam. Okay. Oh, this one's so difficult because, to be honest, like the annoying part about Kablam is that it's one of the more Doctor Who-y episodes of Series 11, and that might seem weird to say, but I guess it just feels more traditional Doctor Who. Like you've got, Space Amazon. I think the Kablam robot design is cool. I think, what do you call it? Like I think Kablam as a setting is a pretty decent setting. And I think the robots can be genuinely like quite sinister, but it just like it's the ending. It's the moral that like screws it for me. The whole actually Space Amazon isn't that bad, fam. Don't worry. They'll have 2 weeks leave. We've done our job. It's like I don't really think I don't really think that gets to the core of the problem. Um, I've gone over the political sort of implications of Kablam in my politics video on the Chibnall era, so like I won't repeat myself too much there. I do. I mean, I probably would choose to watch it over the likes of Rosa, probably, but it's not as good as Demons of the Punjab. I would say it's better than Ghost Monument, Saranga Conundrum, or Arachnids, though. So I think it's going to go right in the middle of C tier, below, above Rosa, but below Demons. That feels about right. Um, then again, yeah, no, I think that's fine. I think if not for the moral botchness, it would probably go into B tier. But like, it just fumbles it too much with the morals, I think. I think people agree with that generally. More like a B tier lamb. Yeah, I was close on B tier, but I went for C in the end. Hold on. Someone's at my door. I feel like I'm in a sitcom. I'm assuming it's just someone coming in. Hold on, I'm just gonna double check what that is, and then I'll be right back, chat. Don't worry, I might die. If I die, someone save me. You know my location. Hold on. I'm back. Hello, everyone. Hold on, let me make sure my audio levels are good. Okay, I think we're good. Let me turn on my camera again. Bam. There we are. Right, where were we? Sorry about that. I had to let my family in. Where were we? We just done Kablam. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say on Kablam other than its message is botched, but I like the setting and like the villain design. Like the Kablam bots as a design are probably like the strongest monster design of the era outside of like pre-existing ones. So we're not including like Dalek or Cyberman redesigns or Sontaran redesigns. In terms of like a new visual, I've always thought they visually look quite cool. But yeah, Kablam is a C tier story for me. Okay, Witchfinders. Again what I've seen some praise for, but I really don't connect with it. Again, it has a similar problem to both what do you call it? Arachnids and Rosa to me, where Alan Cumming feels like he's in a completely different story to everyone else. Everyone else plays it super straight, and then Alan Cummings being like Alan Cummings, and it's great, but it just clashes again. I think my compliments for the series looking great kind of stop here for the first time as well. I mean, there's a couple of Ruby shots in Kablam as well, but I really don't think the Morax look very good. I think they look quite bad, and very very sort of classic-y, but not in a good way. Um, what else? Some of the acting in this one's a bit ropey as well. From that one woman, I don't know what her name is, Willow or something. It's like, I think you can see her like laughing in one of the scenes. It's so weird. Um, yeah, I don't really buy like the antagonistic force. The annoying part about Witchfinders is, again, it's like a good premise. The idea of, hey, we got a female doctor in the witch trials. Like, that's such a cool idea, but I don't think they capitalize on it very well at all, in my opinion. It's kind of wasted as a premise. I've seen a lot of love for this one. I'm just not someone who shares that love at all. Uh, like, the thing is, I think Series 11 probably is written better than maybe Flux or Summer Series 12, but I enjoy it a lot less just because I find them quite dull. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know. Yeah, this goes in D for me. It takes you away again. It's it's not bad. It's just not something I vibe with. I'll give it this. It's a bit more creative than some of the other episodes in the series. Probably the most like creative. I quite like the idea of the what's it called, the Solitract that's from like the alternate dimension that sort of give you what your heart desires and like see your loved ones and stuff like that. And the blind girl whose name escapes me, Hannah, I think her name is in the story. She can tell that like, oh, something's off, because her other senses are heightened. That's actually quite an organic way of including disability. But again, I don't know what it is. It's just never quite clicked with me. I think this should have probably been the series finale. Like, not Battle Around School. I don't know. Either that or make Resolution the series finale, because it's called the Resolution. Like, it's a much better finale than Battle Around School is. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's not bad. It's just really not my cup of tea. Like, again, this is all just personal preference. Where is It Takes You Away? I can't actually see it on my list. Am I being thick? Oh, there it is. It's the frog on the chair. I don't mind the frog on the chair as a visual. Like, it's kind of one of those weird Douglas Adams-y type things, which I don't mind. So it's going to go in C tier. I think, I don't want to put it at the bottom of C tier. Would I watch it over Rosa? Actually, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably... It feels wrong it being below Kablam, though. I guess because that's the order, right? So... yeah, no, that feels about right. Okay. I think that feels about right. Yeah, It Takes You Away, again, I don't, like, hate it, I just feel very little towards it. And then Battle Around School, as I kind of alluded to, probably one of the weakest finales. It's so dull, like, nothing happens in it. Tim Shaw just doesn't... Like, the thing is, Tim Shaw, like, would work as an introductory villain, right? He works, I think, better in the context of When We Fell to Earth, but as, like, your endgame finale villain, it's the equivalent of, like, if in Series 5, the Atraxi was, like, the big bad of the Big Bang. It's like, nah, it's just not enough, Yeah, I think even Chris Chibnall has said it's one of his least favorite scripts because it is literally a first draft. And yeah, you can sort of tell. I've heard the novelization for Witchfinders is good. It's unfortunate that, to me, it just doesn't translate as well on screen, in my opinion. The Doctor using her disability against her to secretly message out. Yeah, that is... yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, maybe I'll move... like, the thing is, as I said, these aren't hard and fast placements they could move with other stories, but... yeah, it definitely does feel like a first draft Battle Around score, though. I think it's weird that they have like a walk back on like sort of Graham's thing, where like in It Takes You Away, the kind of whole point is that he comes to terms with Grace and moving on with his life, and then in Battle Around Score they immediately revert his character back to wanting revenge on Tim Shaw. Like, again, I think they've said before in like the early stages of these series that like the ordering for episodes was sort of jumbled around, and you can definitely kind of tell that that happened just based on how differently um like how sort of out of order some of these episodes feel. Obviously, most of them are self-contained, so it doesn't matter too much. But in cases like this, it feels really weird to go from one episode where Graham seems to have reconciled to the very next one where he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna kill him." Also, I hate the fact that in episode 1, the Doctor says, "Oh, so you would let them rot for thousands of years? That's obscene." And then, like when Graham does it to Tim Shaw, she's like, "You're the bravest person I ever met." Weird morality. It's very strange. They do the thing from Stolen Earth Journey's End where they just sort of have the planets reappear at the end. It feels very tensionless for a finale story as well, especially by like, New Who standards. I think it's partially because like we haven't come to really know anyone from Earth, so you kind of like, I don't really care if Earth gets destroyed. It's like, all right, oh well, there it goes. It's yeah. I don't think this one looks too great either. I mean, the Ux as a concept are fine, I guess. Um, yeah, you can definitely tell it's a first draft. I think is the best way I can summarize it. Why did Chibnall let the finale be the first draft? Chibnall's quoted as saying he wished he could have watched the episodes before deciding the order. So, wait, he wished he could have. Any ideas for a college animation movie I could make? I am not an animator by any stretch, and I also left sixth form, so you're probably not. I'm probably not the best person to ask you. To ask. What sort of project is it? Is it just like any form of animation, or is there a specific brief? But yeah. Anyway, whilst I'm waiting for you to type that out, yeah, Battle Around Score D tier. It's in the bottom. Okay. Resolution. Mm. Mm. Okay, I'm judging it in the context of this year. I think B tier. I put it above What Would He Fell to Earth. By far my favourite episode of Series 11, and probably my favourite of the 3 Dalek outings. It's not perfect. Again, it does have some tonal balance issues. However, I do think that the Dalek rebuilding its casing thing is a fun concept, a relatively new one. It feels the most exciting of the series. I think it's the strongest Dalek outing because Revolution is all over the place. Eve is probably like the most self-contained, but I also just find it a bit dull. Resolution to me kind of has that balance quite well. What else is there to say about it? Although it bothers me that the Dalek laughs. Like the only Daleks that are meant to laugh are insane ones. You don't have the Daleks just laughing anyway. Also, how did the Knights kill that Dalek? Like, if modern day Earth is struggling to kill a scrap Dalek, how did the medieval guys manage it? Anyway, I like the two. What was it? The archaeologist people. They're cool. I kind of wish they'd have come back rather than Carl the Crane Driver, to be honest, in Eve of the Daleks, because they were actually like quite nice and likable as characters, and you kind of rooted for them. Oh yeah, Ryan's dad. He's fine. It's weird that we never return to him again. I find it really funny how at the end of the episode he's like, "Oh, keep me in." Oh wait, I should just make sure I'm flicked back over to the ranking. He's like, "Oh, keep me in the loop on all your adventures," and then he just never does. They never get in contact with him again. Unit gets disbanded in this one, which I mean was ultimately pointless. Like, why was it disbanded? I know that in Flux they're like, "Oh, the Grand Sip and set it up," but that whole plot line was pointless. We'll get to Flux when we get to Flux, but yeah, Resolution, as despite all I'm saying, it probably is the best Dalek one in my opinion, personally. And it probably is the one that I would gravitate the most towards in a rewatch of Series 11, which, by the way, yes, before we get into that debate, I do consider it part of Series 11 because it's literally called Resolution. It acts as a resolution to the events of that series. And, even though it's put on the Series 12 Blu-rays, I've always felt it's more of a Series 11 episode. It even visually looks more like a Series 11 episode. So, yeah. For me, it is a B tier episode. I don't know what the consensus is on this one, but yeah, that's where I put it. Just an animation movie that tells a story or something. I've been trying for 8 hours. Um, uh, I'm trying to think of like a good story. I don't know. Maybe it's like something about someone in like a bad financial situation. I'm not sure because maybe. Yeah, yeah. I forgot I was just on Facecam. My apologies. Yeah, no, I forgot I wasn't. I really like the epilogue to the story, and I hope we get a novel about how the armies defeated the Dalek. Since watching it, I never leave the house without a microwave. Um, I always forget Ryan's dad survived. You know what? If they were never going to bring him back, it probably would have made more sense to just kill him off. Like, if they weren't going to bring him back or do anything with him anyway, they might as well have just. Resolution is probably the episode I've rewatched the most. Yeah, it does have sort of a fun quality to it. I don't know, like it is one of the most fun in the era still. I think. I bet they planned for Unit. I bet there was a plan for Unit in the original Series 13, but it got severely condensed in Flux. I mean, possibly. I don't. I mean, we'll probably never know now. Or at least if we do, it'll be years from now. The thing is, though, he doesn't even. I don't. Does he mention his dad in the time skip for Revolution? I know he mentions his mate who had depression in the one episode. Um, he does mention him, okay. But, like, even still, it just. I don't know. It feels weird that we never actually return to that. All the episodes in New Who are epilogues to the previous series rather than opening them. All the specials in New Who, rather. Yeah, I just still consider it more a part of Series 11 anyway. But anyway, yeah, moving on to Series 12. And I feel like this might be controversial, as if the rest of the list hasn't been. So I think it's important to restate here that this is within the context of this era. So whatever I put in A tier wouldn't be an A tier and see like a Russell T Davies story. With that being said, however, I genuinely think part one of Spyfall is really good. I think it's a fun, if derivative, introduction to the series. A much stronger start than When We Fell to Earth was. It kind of sets the tone in a much better way. I would say the O reveal is pretty cool. The Kasavin as like a concept, I always thought they were visually pretty cool, and like as a concept they're decent. The whole spy thing is pretty decent, although it bugs me that Stephen Fry gets killed off within like 2 minutes. What was the point? Um, yeah, part one is definitely better than part two. Part two is where it really goes off the rails. But part one, I genuinely watched thinking, wait, has he improved? And then the rest of the series happened. But part one, I still think left a good enough impression on me. Now, I know some people rank it so that part two is actually above part one. But for me, part one is infinitely better than part two. Part two is to me, and I think I've said this a couple of times, where a lot of the issues of the Chibnall era really start to make themselves known, because you've got all those like historical characters that are just tagging along, all those different settings. You've got the multiple different threats. You've got the Kasavin, the Master, the bloody Lenny Henry who just walks off. They resolve the plot basically by sonicking it and saying a few words. It's all it is a messy, and not that's not even mentioning the likes of the master scene. We all know which scene I'm on about on the Eiffel Tower, so less said about that the better. We've all gone over why that scene's bad. I'm not going to breach any new ground by saying it again, but yeah, I really don't like part two, and it's a shame because I think part one had such promise, but part two just it buckles under its own weight essentially. Um, yeah, I don't know what the thought process was behind like some of it, like why they added so much additional stuff to a story that already had enough. Like I don't know, it just seems to lose its way in part two and kind of forget what the plot was. It's a very weird one to me. So I do like Sasha though, but like I don't know what it is. Part two just really drops the ball for me. Incoming Spyfall S tier. The Spyfall Part 1 was close, but it was A tier. General has some good concepts, but he never actually managed to finish a plot successfully. Yeah, why put Spyfall in D, put it in C? I just really don't like Spyfall Part 2. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, yeah, I just really don't like it. It just feels right. Um, although, to be fair, it does feel weird having it next to Orphan 55, but... Eh. Um, but yeah, Orphan 55, I don't really think I need to explain this one, do I? Like, the thing about Orphan 55 that I at least appreciate is that it's like sort of fun bad. Like, it's not boring bad, it's fun bad, so you at least sort of laugh at it. But at the same time, it is just like, what am I watching? Like, I just think part one's way better. I've watched it for the times. Yeah, the thing is, it is like it's entertainingly bad. It's like The Room. You know what I mean? It's got that sort of so bad it's almost good quality. It still goes in D tier because just the quality reasons it's just bad. But like, you know, Benny, Benny, you're gonna die, Benny. Get back to the train, Benny, Benny. Not train, is it? It's like a van thing. Whatever. The whole like reveal that it's Earth. It's played as like a twist when you feel like you can see it coming from a mile off. They waste James Buckley, which I don't know whether I can quite forgive. As green as the hair on our head, Silas. There's just so many lines in this that are just like meme worthy is the best way I could to direct. This is also one of those rare instances where I think the era looks quite bad as well. Like the dregs, there's some cool close-up shots of them, but then when they do like the wide CG shots, I don't know what happened, but like I don't know, the editing just seems really choppy. Yeah, I'll say this, like I kind of feel bad having Spyfall next to it. I guess if let's reorganize the quality a bit here. I guess to make Spyfall Part 2 feel a bit better, I'll put it top of D tier. Um, I probably would put it above Battle Around Squirrel Crawlers just for the meme quality. And no, I wouldn't put it above Witchfinders. Yeah. Um, yeah, that feels about right. It just yeah, it's entertainingly bad, I think is one way I can say it. Maybe add an E tier. Yeah, I did consider like, can I have a lower tier because this D tier is gonna get pretty full. Um, yeah, I know you like Witchfinders. I just don't really get the hype for it personally. Um, 155 is obvious D tier. Yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those ones that's like very memeable, so I kind of enjoy it on that level. Also they had that random Ryan romance that like never is addressed again. Like why? It's just very choppily edited, and yeah, the ending scene is very like, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, uh, like the whole speech at the end is so. I don't even know what the word is. It just feels like so simplistic. Like we all need to do better. It's like, yeah, all right. Anyone could say that. You got anything more profound to add? No? Okay. It just, yeah. We've gone over that issues to death. Nikola Tesla. Again, I know someone who has done some research on like the Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison stuff. Like, I do think it plays the conflict a little bit like one note. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, I do think Thomas Edison was big capitalist man who basically just put his name on things. Equally, though, Nikola Tesla wasn't exactly a saint, very into eugenics. Um, I do quite like the Skifra and the way that they used to parallel Edison and Tesla, though. I think that's a more natural way of including a alien aspect into a historical than the likes of Krasko in Rosa. Um, I do quite like this one conceptually. It sort of feels like a it feels very Russell era. It feels very Runaway Bride or I guess like Unicorn and the Wasp, if that makes sense. Sort of a mid-tier Russell episode, but in this era, like that's pretty strong. Um, Tesla's better than most in terms of plot and theme. I'm gonna put it in B just for the basis that I don't quite like how much it sort of praises Tesla because like he was a very questionable guy, and I'm like, as a disabled guy as well, you're just like, I don't know whether I feel comfortable with how much we're celebrating a guy who believed in eugenics. I don't know. It just, but as a story, I will concede it's probably one of the better ones. I don't know whether there's much else to say. I quite like the visual design of some of it. Like I like that little ball thing that they use, that the skiff reuse. I don't know. It's definitely a stronger one. Probably one of the better historical ones for me. Probably, I think. Yeah, well, we'll have a think when it comes to that. Fugitive of the Jadoon. This one's hard. Fugitive is hard because you can't really judge it as an individual episode. You kind of have to judge it based on like where did it all go in the end. Doctor Who really needs to stop making historical figures so one note, good or bad, looking at Victory of the Daleks especially. I agree. Thing is, Victory, the thing I will say about Victory is, and it's not really a sort of defense of it, but I am just putting it into context. The early 2010s were a much more sort of hopefully optimistic time where people thought that, you know, like things were sort of getting better, and you know being British was good actually, and yeah, and then now it's like, oh, this is actually no. Winston Churchill was like in the recent years we've sort of gone through a phase of like, you know, re-examining historical figures a lot more critically. So I think Victory of the Daleks is sort of born out of a slightly more naive time, but like optimistically naive, I guess. Whereas with like Nikola Tesla, it does just sort of feel a bit like, yeah, we all kind of know he was like a eugenicist. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I do agree. It is bit in Victory as well. Like I'm not a big fan of that retrospectively. But anyway, Fugitive of the Jadoon. Yeah, as I said, you can't really look at this as an individual story. You kind of have to look at it as what it sets up, because it is basically a Moffat setup episode, but with less good dialogue. Fugitive of the Jadoon is a C. That's what I'm tempted to put it in, because I definitely would put it up above the likes of Arachnids or Saranga. But like the thing of thinking about it, like the Fugitive Doctor goes nowhere. Captain Jack, he goes nowhere. You know, obviously he's in Revolution afterwards, but like, the Jadoon are barely in it, which I don't really mind. But like, it's weird that, yeah, I don't know. It's fine. I mean, it's less. It's the thing is, on broadcast, it's enjoyable enough. But I think that's because you don't know where it's going to go. But now we have had the whole era. In context, you are just sort of like, none of this meant anything. Like, in the end, you know, the shocks of Captain Jack or, like, the Fugitive Doctor are cool. But then, when you look at it, you know, sort of in the context of the rest of the era and what it actually did, you sort of realise that there was not much reasoning behind it. But Jo Martin is so good. Jo Martin is good, but she doesn't get a lot to do. When she's fugitive, she basically gets to go, shut up, no, no, bad. Yeah, it's like, the thing is, it was enjoyable on broadcast, but when you sort of look at it, like, the Fugitive Doctor gets like a couple of cameos after this point, and none of them really elaborate on her at all. The Timeless Child is kind of like a thing that just exists. Yeah, it's gonna go in C tier. I enjoy it more than obviously a lot of the ones in D tier, but like, yeah, I probably would put it above Kablam. Yeah, that feels about right. Yeah. What's next? Praxius. Man, this D tier is getting really full. I don't get the hype for Praxius. I know a lot of people who unironically think it's one of the best of the era. I wish I saw what they saw. Visually, I'll say the Contagion thing looks really cool. I think it handles its political message better than the likes of something like Orphan 55 does. However, it's just so boring. Boring. Like, it's just so dull. Like, I don't know. It's just like all the villains are just humans that aren't humans again, which is kind of dull. You got that Chibnall trope of like, here's all these locations, which to be fair is probably better utilized here in some others. Maybe okay, I'm not gonna put it at the bottom of D tier. I'm gonna reorganize this, but just put it in D tier for now. But yeah, Praxius is like, I don't know. I just always found it very boring. They literally do the Birdemic thing. I don't mind that it's not like, you know, a classic villain behind it. I know that was a critique of the time. I just think it's quite boring. The two, like the astronaut and the investigator, that's fine, I guess. Um, yeah, it's fine. I don't know, I just find it really boring. I probably would put it above Battle Around School and Orphan. Yeah, that feels about right. I don't know, I just find it really boring. The thing is, it's hard to summarize some of these episodes because you genuinely sort of forget what happens. Thank you to Tommy for the 20. Unfortunately, timed episode. Yeah, obviously the pandemic happened literally months after. I agree, practice was good, but needed sea devils. I disagree. I don't think it needed them. I don't know. I just kind of think it's a bit dull. I thought it was hated. Yeah, I don't know. I think most people dislike it, but I have seen it get like a bit of a what do you call it, a reappraisal in recent years. I'm just not one of those people at all. I have never I've never vibed with it at all, personally. All right, can you hear me? Where is it? Can you hear me annoys me, right? Because I am someone who loves dream episodes. Also, this DT is getting really full. I might have to make another subcategory, but I really love like the concept of dreams and you know them in fiction. You know, Amy's Choice is one of my favorite episodes of the Moffat era. I think they use the idea of dreams to explore the characters so well. You know, you've got um sort of Ledworth representing Rory's ideal life, you know, slow, quiet, retired, normal, mundane. And then you've got, obviously, what you call it, the sort of burning star thing, which is mad and confusing and weird, which obviously sort of represents the Doctor's ideal life and scenario. So, and then it's left to Amy to choose which of these lives do you want. And then she's ultimately like, I need to be with Rory, and that kind of feeds into her bigger arc. This has none of that. This is just like I like that they do the bits with Graham's cancer where he's worried about it coming back. Although the way they handle that, I don't care if it was based on. I mean, obviously, you know, full respect to him including it based on his own personal experience. I still hate the way the Doctor handles it. The Doctor would not handle it like that, in my opinion, at all. I like the villains conceptually because they're like got like their ties to Eternals. The whole depression thing, as someone who has actually suffered with depression, I don't know what it is. Like, it bothers me that Yaz's depression, like, it never gets brought up again, and I don't know, like, I don't mind it with Ryan's mate as much, but like, yeah, I don't know. I think this ends its D basically on the basis of it wastes a good concept and it's moral botchery, kind of like Kablam again. Although I don't know, maybe it does deserve to be in C. I don't know. What do you guys think? C or D? Oh yeah, the animation scene is cool. That's cool. Fingerman is one of Chip's best villains. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Um, Maybe I do put it in C. I'm not sure. I'll keep it in D for now, and then maybe we can have a reorganize and reshuffle. But right now, that's where it's going to stay. I'll put it above a couple of these. Probably would put it above. I probably would put this above those as well. I probably would put that there. Okay, I think that's about right. Okay. I keep sort of forgetting the ordering. So yeah, I'll sort of stop to do that occasionally. But yeah, Haunting of Iliadati. The best, well, the best written story of the era. Not my personal favorite. We'll get to that, but certainly the best written. It's arguably the only thing that really holds this one back is its ties to the greater sort of narrative arcs, because I think that it's unfortunate that like both of Maxine Alderton's stories have been contingent upon arcs that aren't as good. But I think visually it's really strong. I think the Doctor feels the most like the Doctor in like the entire era. I love the mountainous flat scene. I think it's got some really like cool spooky like vibes. Although it's weird that like they established that Graham can see ghosts. That's weird. What else? Ashad is really cool and is never done better than in the better. I'm from Somerset now. Better than in this story. He is very, what's the word? He's very like menacing. There's that bit where he just sort of like chokes that woman in that when she's protecting the baby, and it's like, oh my god, like he's actually a real cool threat in this one. What else? I think the side cast are one of the more memorable ones as well, like Mary Shelley and Byron and all them. Like I actually remember some like personality traits of them, which is, I mean, we haven't really talked about the sidecast too much, but like yeah, the sidecast are definitely one of the more memorable ones, I think. Yeah, I just really enjoy this one. It's probably one of my favorite, like in terms of direction as well. I think it's kind of, it like does its atmosphere very well. Yeah, it's just a shame that the rest of the arc didn't really live up to this. A tier. See, I put it in S tier because, as I said in the earlier, Stephen, basically, we're putting it within the context of the era. So this wouldn't be S tier in like the Russell era, but in this era, I would put it in S, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, I do quite enjoy this one quite a bit. But yeah, the Siberian, I couldn't stop saying it. When I was watching the series, when you said Siberica, I was like, oh god, I can't stop saying it. Actually, let me find a joke that I made. Wait, what scene's the words matter scene? I feel like I'm forgetting that. Really, Diodati is like built in era, yeah, but in this era, S tier. um, I still enjoy it though. I think I would enjoy it regardless of what era. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, I did this video ages ago. Let me see if I can find it. Where I put Gordon Ramsay like lines to Chibnall era moments, and this is my favorite one. Hold on. Why can't I search it? I'm gonna have to scroll down. That's annoying. It was ages ago, so it might take me a sec. It was like before filming, I think. Was it? If I don't find it soon enough, I will just give up. But I think I've almost got it. There we are. Gordon Ramsay reviews Chibnall Doctor Who. This is one of my favourite things I've ever made. But I'm just going to show you in context of in honor of Haunting Ability to Die. We have this wonderful scene. Hopefully, I don't get claimed. It is like a couple seconds of footage, and it's not even got the original audio. So hopefully, it doesn't get claimed. But let me just. There we are.
Turd.
It's like some fucking sci-fi sperm.
That.
There you go. That's how you describe the Siberian. 13 justifying saving Percy. Oh yeah, like is the words matter thing like I don't really remember. Is it like a sort of, is it kind of like a parallel to the some days the only choices you have are bad ones, blocked worldwide? I remember our Discord call as you made that one. Wait, were you in that call as I made that video? I still think that's genuinely really funny. If you haven't seen that video, I would recommend it, but yeah. Seamus Shan isn't never really expanded on. Yeah, he's kind of just used as a foot soldier from here on out. It's a shame. Because he is probably like the coolest Chibnall like one-off villain, because he's probably not going to appear in other eras. Ascension over the Cybermen. The Cybermen episode where they ascend or something. I like the Brendan bits. They're like somewhat interesting. The cyber drones are quite dumb. The sidecast is very forgettable. It doesn't look very visually interesting. I struggle to put it on like D because it's not really, it doesn't really do anything that I abjectly dislike. Like a lot of these do. I mean, to be fair, like Can You Hear Me does, Arachnids does, Spyfall Part 2 does, but at the same time it doesn't really do anything that I find particularly noteworthy either. Like I'm probably going to put it in C, but a low C. Yeah, that feels about right. Like, I just don't have a lot to say about it. Like, it doesn't really lead in, like, because the Timeless Children is, the Timeless Children is, like, completely, what you call it, separate to it. Like, because it's meant to be, like, a three-parter, but they all feel like completely separate stories. Um, Essentially, it's the most boring episode of the entire show. I mean, to be honest, the fact that I don't really remember anything about it means you probably are right. Graham flirts in Cockney, low C, dull and bad payoff. Yeah, I agree. That's where I put it. I put it in low C. I think that's about right. Like, it doesn't do anything that, like, I'm outright like, oh, why would you do that? But it's also just like, it's fine. It's inoffensive, but it's not anything extraordinary. It's just quite dull. I will die on this hill. The Timeless Children is a fantastic episode, but they do nothing with it in future episodes. That's the problem, though. I think because they do nothing with it, it hurts the Timeless Children as an episode. Because that episode is contingent on your continued interest in the Timeless Child storyline. So because as a result, that storyline goes nowhere, I do think it detrimentally affects that episode overall, I would say. The thing is, right, I genuinely, and I don't, yeah, obviously, I don't want to go too much into a discussion of the Timeless Child, but like, I genuinely think there are cool ways you could take in that story. I still don't love the fact that it's the Doctor, like, regardless, but for various reasons that I've already outlined. But there are ways that you could take that story that are interesting. The problem is, they never do anything with it. It doesn't go anywhere. It just is established, and then that's it. That was it. That was the end. It's like, it just doesn't feel. It feels like the middle act where the third act doesn't exist. It's very weird. It is a lot of exposition. In fairness, there's a lot of it that's like it's just sort of the master narrating Gallifrey's past to you. I don't think it quite deserves to be on Battle Around Skorath Koloth level. I mean, I probably would put it high D. I mean, I remember it more than some of these, and I guess it doesn't really. Yeah, it's high D. I don't know. I don't think. I think because the storyline doesn't come together at all, it does detrimentally impact the episode. The thing is, right, it doesn't even annoy me that much. Oh, it's on its own. It's just the fact that none of it goes anywhere makes it feel entirely redundant. I do think to give it some praise, you know, because I don't want to be entirely negative. I want to find some redeeming qualities in the era. I do think visually it looks really cool. Like that bit where they're building the Gallifrey Citadel looks really cool. Also, the Cyber Time Lords look quite bad in this, but I think they look a lot better in Power of the Doctor because I like the black design and the sort of Gallifreyan text on them. But yeah, like I know that Svert Saxon just said at least it was show don't tell. I don't know whether I agree because even though they do show the beginnings of regeneration, you still have the master narrating the entire thing. So I don't know. I don't mind it becomes sort of redundant. Yeah, that's the thing. I was really annoyed at the Thomas Child like change initially, but like now I'm just sort of like, well, it didn't mean anything in the end anyway. Like my sort of an anger turned to apathy, if you kind of get what I mean. It's nope. If it was all tell, it would be the master and the doctor in a room talking. They show the history and beautiful visuals. I agree the visuals are nice. I just think that they could have done without the master just going, this is what happened, and then this is what happened. I would praise the visuals if the main Matrix area wasn't so ugly. It's just a white void. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Although, isn't that kind of what it looked like? I could be wrong. It's been a while since I watched Trial of a Time Lord. Although, even then, that doesn't mean something can't be updated. What else happens in this? Oh yeah, I kind of hate the Cybermen's motivation. Be like, we want to not be organic at all. Like, no, that's not the Cybermen. I know that they have a line chastising it, being like, "Ah, oh, that's a bit boring," but like, it's still boring, even if you say it's boring in the script. I don't know. Um, what else? It just doesn't really achieve anything. No, you are right. Yeah, it is a beach, isn't it? Yeah, no, I really don't like that it makes the Cybermen's ultimate goal to become robots. They clearly show it as the master narrator. It's weak showing, but it's still showing. Fair enough. Fair enough. At least they show it. I'll give it that. At least they do show it and they don't just tell you. I'll give it that. But it is I would still prefer less of the narration personally. What else? Anything else happen? Oh yeah, that those human resistance people just sort of also I just kicked my table, so apologies the webcam just did a wobble. That's why. What you call it? The like the weird human resistant people that get dropped off on Earth and you never hear from them again. That was weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it, but it's like, yeah, it just ultimately means nothing. I don't know. Revolution of the Daleks, the second special, the one that returns to Captain Jack Harkness. The funny thing about this episode is, I genuinely think it's one of the worst aged Doctor Who episodes, like, in history. I'm not even just talking about the whole John Barrowman and Chris Noth situations, because both of them had their, like, you know, sexual scandals individually. But just things like the Theresa May stand-in, which already feel dated in 2019, but we're like 3 prime ministers on from that now, so it just feels even more dated. Them reading Harry Potter in the opening again feels really dated for obvious reasons. Like the thing is, it's a mad episode. I think the way Stu Bagfull described it and the way I kind of see, let me get the thing on screen. The way I see Revolution is kind of like, I think Stu Bagfull said this in his review. It's like someone got a trifle and then put like a roast dinner into it. These two things are great on their own. You put them together and it just doesn't work. Like the Dalek Civil War thing, awesome. They don't do anything with it. The what you call it? The Daleks being built on Earth Factory, cool idea. Very little done with it. The Doctor being in prison is completely wasted, and nothing is done with it. Like there's some really cool ideas in this one. Also, I really personally don't like Graham and Ryan's departure. It's always just sort of been a bit like, yeah, I want to leave now, and then Graham's like, oh, all right, it said I'll leave as well. It's just, I feel nothing towards it. That one's hard to rank though, because as much as it does have glaring issues, I probably would pick a rewatch of this over some of these. Probably would put it above Ascension, but below Fugitive. I don't know, they're about on the same level. I'll put it there. It has its fun moments, but it's lacking in focus. It doesn't focus on anything. What's in S? I just done. So within the context of the era, I put Haunting Ability Die in S. In S tier. But yeah, Revolution, it just feels so dated and sort of messy. I also like hate that the way that they facilitate a conversation between Ryan and the Doctor is, let's have the TARDIS stop for 4 minutes, or not stop, but like take 4 minutes to get to Japan so we can have this conversation. Like, no, just there's better ways of integrating conversation than literally stopping the plot to do it. It's something that Chibnall does a lot. Like, Dirk doesn't die or kiss the Doctor 010 episode. It is weird. Like they seem to. I don't know what it is about Chris Chibnall, but he seems very hesitant to have the 13th Doctor engaged in any form of like remote, like anything that could remotely be considered as like social at all. Like they don't commit to a Tasman kiss. You know, Captain Jack doesn't kiss the Doctor, which he does with every other incarnation, and even does it with Bradley Walsh when he thinks he's the Doctor. So yeah, that is a weird detail. Like it doesn't really bother me too much, but it is just something I've observed. Maybe he thought that like, oh, you know, you don't want to, you know, feed into stereotypes of like women being sexualized, but I don't know. You could just not say the 4 minutes line and there's no problem there. Yeah, I mean it would be less jarring. Jack plus Graham for life. Also, I just think Jack, that's another thing. Jack feels really like out of place amongst the others. Because you've got the others that are like really, again, quite somber, quite ITV, quite, expositional. And then you've got Captain Jack being like, hey guys, it's me, Captain Jack, I'm gonna die. Bam, 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 there's a kid. Whoa, Rebel Rose. It just. it. I don't know what it is. Like, they tonally don't mesh at all. I don't. Because it's weird as well, because in Torchwood, like, because I've started watching that. In Torchwood, Jack is a bit more somber and a bit more reflective, and you'd think they might have gone more in that approach for the Chibnall-era because it is a bit more grounded, or at least it tried to be initially. But no, instead they just crank up the eccentricity. And I get to an extent that's what you want when a character comes back, but I don't know. Jack is essentially there to be like, I'm a thing you remember. Yeah, he is. It's like, I hate his ending as well. They do it with Ace and Tegan as well in Paradoxa, where they're like, oh, sorry, Doctor, I had to go to Gwen. We're doing something with Torchwood. But it just happens off screen. Why? I'm assuming maybe that was a COVID thing. I'm only getting towards the end of season 1, so no spoilers in chat. And they go to Japan for the squid monsters. Yeah, that is funny. Yeah. So that's revolution. Revolution. I don't know. Saying the titles because they're so similar is annoying. What's next? Halloween Apocalypse. Okay, so we've gotten quite close now to Flux. This is weird because this feels like a lot more recent to me. I don't know why. I mean, I guess because it was, but like, I don't know. There's something about Revolution of the Daleks and Halloween Apocalypse that feels so like separate to me, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just because there was nothing in that gap, but I don't know. They just feel like they're from two completely different eras almost. Halloween Apocalypse is basically just a setup episode. Like, I think we can look back at it retrospectively and go, whilst it had some fun stuff, it is just, here's a thing, and here's a thing, and here's another thing, and here's this thing. And then, again, when it doesn't quite come together, it is just sort of things. The thing I'll give it, though, there's a lot of things, is that I think the cliffhanger is quite cool. I think Dan gets a solid introduction. It's just a shame that after this, he gets basically nothing to play with or do. Chewing gum for the eyes. Yeah, that is a good way of describing it. Trying to think what happens in it. You get that, like, Claire sort of foreshadowing. I don't know where to put it. I'm sort of tempted to put it in C tier along with these guys. Maybe sort of slightly above Revolution, but below Fugitive, I think. Yeah, it is just sort of stuff. Like, because the thing is, you don't have any context for it in Halloween Apocalypse. It is just kind of, I enjoyed it on broadcast, but that was with the assumption that these separate elements would, go somewhere, which in some cases they kind of did, and in some cases they just didn't at all. What else even happens in this? Oh yeah, there's that weird thing with the witness protection of Swarm and Azure that isn't really explained. Yeah, I don't really have anything more to say on this. I was trying to find something. Oh, it's really weird too how they like set up the Division as a big deal in Halloween Apocalypse. Oh, like the Division and guarding the Swarm and Azure, and oh, what's this Division? And 13 is looking for the Division when the series starts, and then she finds Tech Tayun, and then it's like, okay, that's it. There's no more mystery. That's it. And I will give this like the benefit of the doubt on the basis that I don't doubt that some of its things will probably change due to COVID. But that doesn't change the fact that episode 1 in particular is just stuff, the episode. War of the Centaurans, on the other hand, I think you might know this if you've watched my content before. Again, this is of the Chibnall-era. The best, well, not the best, my favourite of the Chibnall-era. I think in quality-wise, The Haunting Ability of Darty is the best. But I think in terms of like the most fun I've had with an episode, War of the Centaurans. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. It tries to do a bit too much, and it is held down by having to sort of feed into the Flux narrative. but I still think it's one of the best episodes. Like, I think the Sontarans probably get their best characterization, at least in the new series here. I like that, obviously, the scene where it's like, I wanted to ride a horse. I like that. I do like that as a thing for them. I even like that he goes all the way back to his leader, and the leader's like, you've done adequately. It's like, yeah. I don't know, the Sontarans are really good at this story, which does kind of elevate it. Although it's weird to me how they resolve the plot in this episode by having Dan crash the the spaceship into all the other spaceships, but then they try the same trick in the Vanquishers, and the Doctor's like, "Oh, did you not think they'd have their shields on?" It's like, well, they didn't 4 episodes ago. Um, what else? I like the idea of the Crimean War and Sontar replacing Russia. I mean, it's not really dwelled upon too much, but I think it's a cool visual and a cool idea. I can understand why if you wanted a more Crimean War focused episode, you'd be a bit disappointed, but personally I don't mind too much. Dan's parents are there. They're fine. They're just sort of people. Is there much else to say? No, I think that's about it. I just do quite enjoy this one. The cliffhanger I remember thinking was really cool as well, with, you know, Yaz being turned into one of the Mori. Imagine how interesting it would have been if she was stuck as one of those for the rest of the series, and, like, Swarm as you had control over her. And, like, that would have given Dan some purpose. Because, like, Dan would have been left to try and, you know, help the Doctor find her best friend. You know, oh, Mole Man also appears in both of these episodes, and that goes nowhere, ultimately. Yeah. Once upon a time. I don't know why I said it like I was in a Western. Where is it? Village of the Angels. There. This one is mad to me. This, I think, if you remember watching my original Flux videos, this was the moment where I was like, put Spyfall Part 1 in E rank or on sub. There isn't an E rank combo, it only goes to D. That's why there's so many things in D. Is there? No, there's not a tier lower than D. I feel like I should make one. But there wasn't one made for this. I feel like I should. Spyfall Part 1 is quite fun. Spyfall Part 2, I think, is a mess, though. So make it E rank. What are we talking about? Once Upon a Time, though. Yeah, Once Upon a Time is mad and doesn't really. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, it just sort of. Is your shirt the Smith era logo? It is. Thank you for noticing. Really? You love Once Upon a Time? I just think it's messy. It was the moment, I think what annoyed me about it on first viewing especially, it's like, okay, we're at the midpoint of the series, and we're still setting things up. And it's just, it's all over the place. I do like Vinder's backstory, to be fair. I'm trying to remember what else happens in it. I hate that they have the scene of the Doctor where it's very clearly intended as a fugitive Doctor adventure, but they don't let it just be Joe Martin. They have to flick it back to Jodie. No, just let Joe Martin do one scene, for the love of God. Just let her do it. You've not given her anything. You might as well just let her have this scene. That really annoys me. What else? The thing is with Flux, it all just sort of blends in your mind into one homogenous blob of content. What else happens in? Oh yeah, you got the Weeping Angel subplot. Oh, I hate that line too, where it's like, who's that girl with the nimble fingers when she's playing? What the hell was that? Makes me cringe every time. I do like some of the trippiness of the episode. That's a bit more unique, I guess. It's probably C tier. Like, I probably don't dislike it as much as I did on broadcast, but Village of the Angels is great though. We're not at Village of the Angels yet. But yeah, I think Once Upon a Time, I wouldn't put it below Couple Am, but I put it in, I think that feels about right. Okay. Village of the Angels. Now, I've gone on record as saying I don't get the hype for this one that others do. Don't get me wrong. It's got some really cool stuff. One thing I don't understand about it, and maybe some people can help me out with this, I don't get why people say that it, you know, it's sort of, Village of the Angels is great visually mostly, Binder is based. The thing is with Village of the Angels, right, is that the thing that I don't get about it that was praised at the time was people like, oh, it's simplified the Weeping Angels again. It's made them better. Has it? I feel like it just added to the problem. I hate that they have like a 9-to-5 job now. I'm sort of contemplating. I don't know whether I enjoy it more than Resolution. Maybe? Yeah. Jericho's fun. I do like Jericho. I do like the angels in it. I just don't think it. I think it does add more to them than is needed. And I don't like that they have a job now. That annoys me because the way I look at Weeping Angels, right? They're like pack animals. They're savage beasts who, you know, feed off of people. And in that, they're like, they work for someone else. I just think it makes them so much less interesting. What else even happens in this? I liked the twist of the little girl is actually that old woman. That's pretty decent. Yeah, visually it looks really nice. As for this era, because bearing in mind we are doing it in terms of within the context of this era, I'm happily gonna put it in A tier. I agree. I think, yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll probably put it above what one actually. Yeah, I'm happy with it being there. It's a shame because I would say, look, if you look at War of the Centaurs and Village of the Angels, they're like two of my highs of the era, but like the rest of the story is just such a mess that it just I kind of wish that like obviously it couldn't have been because of COVID, but like I do kind of wish Flux had have just been these what do you call it? Like I wish that series 13 would have just been the individual episodes. Can you imagine if it was just like if the series was just, I don't know, like War of the Centaurs, Village of the Angels, maybe not Legend actually. Maybe Eve of the Daleks, throw that in there. I think it would have been a stronger series, is what I'm saying. But yes, it is what it is. What were you guys saying? There's someone who said something I wanted to. 9-to-5 jobs make them more relatable. I want to see their daily bitch fights now. Oh wow, you only time traveled 2 people? You're a disgrace to the company. No, I do like Jericho, to be fair. Survivors of the Flux. Ooh, that might be a D tier. Yeah, I think that's our first D tier of the Flux series. Yeah. Don't know where in D I'll put it. I'll pop it there for now. Like, it's just, again, it's just stuff that's thrown at you with no sense of cohesion. I hate that they have a whole subplot dedicated to finding this pot that tells the date of when the universe is gonna die, when we all know it's like next week anyway, and then they have a bit where they're like, oh, let's paint come and get your human on a wall so Carbonista can see it and come and get us. But then Carbonista just goes, oh, I don't have time travel. What? Why is that there? Also, something I forgot to mention about Village of the Angels, actually, now that we're there, I think the cliffhanger is really cool. But again, obviously I get that in Survivors of the Flux it's just used as transportation. But I don't know, I just think the idea of the Doctor being turned into a Weeping Angel is a really cool one, and I would have done so much more stuff with that. But anyway, what else? You get all the exposition about the Doctor's family, and the thing is, you don't even really learn anything. You just learn that Tek Taeyoon was the one who started the Flux, which we can kind of guess anyway. This is the one that she gets killed off in as well. Yeah, there is. You don't really learn much about the memories other than is what the Master told me true? Yes. Alright. Also, like, the morals of this one is weird. Like, morality is a strength. It's like, you realise even bad people have morality, right? It's just, morality is different depending on people. Like, also, it's weird to me that the thing that she takes issue with is that she had another home somewhere else. It's like, shouldn't the issue you take with this be that you were experimented on for years and basically killed repeatedly? There's a police car outside. They're coming for me. This is it for me, boys. I'll just let them leave. Maybe they won't see my offshore bank accounts. It's fine. What were we talking about? Survivors of the Flux. Yeah, I do like Swarm and Azure, to be fair, but like they're not really very interesting beyond War of the Centaurans. They kind of just fade into the background. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else I missed? I feel like I got most of it. I forgot in Once Upon a Time they introduced Belle, didn't they? Good God. That's what I mean. There's just so much that happens in Flux, man. You just can't keep up with it. Was there anything else I missed in Survivors of the Flux? Does Tex say you'd love the Doctor? No, I don't think so. Survivors of the Flux. Oh yeah, you get the unit scene. I forgot about that. The unit scene. I forgot about it. Yeah, that's there. It doesn't really go anywhere. Again, like the Centaurans could have just invaded. You didn't need that whole thing. Like the thing is, 2 out of the 3. No, in fact, I'm going to say it. 3 out of the 3 of those scenes are almost entirely like redundant. The whole travel in the universe thing, pointless. Doesn't need to happen. What's the other thing I said? The Doctor finding out about her past thing, we don't really learn anything. And then with, what was the other thing? The unit thing, the Centaurans could have just invaded again. There's no reason to bring unit into it at all. They've already managed it without unit. What's the incentive for them to work with the Grand Serpent, who, by the way, ultimately doesn't mean anything? Survivors of the Flux, man. And I probably would put Vanquishers in a similar category, because like, yeah, I don't, yeah, like the Vanquishers is the same problem. It's just too much going on. You don't learn about the Timeless Child. She dumps it into the TARDIS for all eternity, never to be seen again. Like, and I don't even love the Timeless Child, but for the love of God, if you're going to set something up, do something with it. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know what else to say about the Vanquishers. I'm trying to think what happens in that one. The thing he swallows the Flux. Oh yeah, we still don't really get what the state of the universe is. I don't think we'll ever find that out, because I know that Dan's like, you saved the universe last week, but then there's no evidence that the universe was restored in any capacity. It's really weird. Vanquishers. What else happens in the Vanquishers? Half of this stream has just been me trying to remember what happens in the episodes, which kind of, I guess, proves that they're not, it's that memorable. Oh yeah, you've got like the 3 Doctors thing where they split into 3. So basically, the way Chibnall decides to diffuse all of the plot points he sets up is like, I'll create 3 Doctors. It's like, okay, Chris, that's one way of putting out all the fires. Oh yeah, Jericho dies. I have nothing to say about that other than Jericho dies. Like, it's weird that they don't react at all. That's weird. What else? I think that's about it, right? Yeah, that belongs in D tier as well. And then we're at the final stretch. I loved it when the Vanquishers. I loved it in the Vanquishers when the Doctor's read, I'm gonna vanquish, and then vanquished all over the Centaurans. Oh yeah, yeah, and they have that weird bit where it's like, you know what's really weird as well? I know a lot of people kind of are like, there's no precedent for the Doctor being Vinder and Belle's kid, right? But they have a line in it where they're like, oh, killing Centaurans, the family business. It's like they're very clearly setting something up that should never. You're being taken for questioning based on private quote tweets. Yes. I don't mind Jericho dying. It doesn't mean anything. Jericho should have been companion for the specials. I don't know. I mean, Dan already feels redundant. Adding another face would have just exacerbated that problem. Anyway, I think we've gone over the Flux now. So let's move on to the finale ones. These feel really recent, because they're from this year. Eve of the Daleks, I would say, narratively is probably the strongest of the 3, which isn't the best compliment. Like, the thing is, I'm going to say right now, Power of the Doctor is the one I enjoy the most out of the 3. Like, without a doubt. But the reason I enjoy Power of the Doctor isn't really for its quality, it's because it does a lot of... It's kind of like... It's the junk food episode of Doctor Who. Like, you kind of feel bad. My OBS disconnected. I think I'm alive now. Hello. Hopefully it didn't crash for too long. But yeah, anyway, even the Daleks, it's quite boring. I do like the way it's directed, in all fairness. The Nick guy is really weird, and it's weird how they frame him as a protagonist. Sarah is fine. What else? I think they make the time loop way more complicated than it needs to be, and they kind of take the fun out of it by having it on like a timer, which I get is done for stakes, but like part of the fun of time loop stories is you get to try and see them do different scenarios and like, oh, you know, all these different like things and pushing the boundaries, but you never really get to see that with this one. I know that this is going to start discourse on Twitter, but I still think that the Dalek's aim is frankly ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry, it just is. Like, there's no way you can look at that where they're like 2 centimeters away from each other and not think, come on. I can suspend my disbelief to a point, but like, when they're especially meant to be the Death Squad Daleks, whatever they're called, which, by the way, I hate that the way that Chibnall did Daleks was to just give them roles that Daleks already served anyway. Like, oh, these are the Purity Daleks. Oh, so you mean Daleks then? Like, that's just what Daleks do anyway. Anyway, yeah, even the Daleks, it's probably the strongest written of the 3. I feel very little towards it, though. It does feel quite cheap. I probably would put it above... I'd probably enjoy Revolution more, to be honest. It probably goes about there. Yeah, probably C tier. Legend of the Sea Devils. Let me do something real quick. Hang on, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I add another category? I need to do something for myself, but I don't know how to do it. Something needs to be done. I need to create a new category, because quite frankly, Legend of the Sea Devils does not deserve a D. It is by far, and in my opinion, the worst piece of New Who in all of the show. I'm trying to make it, but it can't make it Legend of the Sea Devils tier. I'm trying, but it won't let me. Ah! No. No. How do I make a new tier? Add a row below. Here we go. Here we are. I can fix it. Legend of the Sea Devils. This episode, for me, is one of the worst of the entire show. From its editing to its visuals, its dialogue to its story, it's so boring, so expository. The Thasmin stuff, whilst okay, some nice scenes, I guess, it goes nowhere. Like, the side cast is really annoying. That guy gets over his parent, like, dad dying within, like 3 minutes. And it's like, oh, I'll be your adopted son now, person who killed my dad. Okay, what? I really do not like Legend of the Sea Devils. It's vanquishing time. I just really don't like... The thing is as well, I've seen a lot of praise for the visuals of the Sea Devils. Can I be 100% honest? I don't even think they look that good. Like, okay, when they're still and when they're not moving, yeah, they look alright. Soon as they start to move, it doesn't look great, in my opinion, at all. Like, when they're trying to swing their sword, I don't know, it just doesn't look good at all. Like, it feels like it is the new Who Warriors of the Deep. It's like, what is this? Like, come on, what am I looking at? Yeah, the thing is, I'm of the opinion that I genuinely don't think that the design translated into what they tried to do at all. Like, I get that they're honouring the originals, but I just don't really think they look very good at all. Like, I'm sorry, I don't think they look good. The Sea Devils look good as long as they aren't moving or talking or doing anything that you need them to do in a story. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, Legend of the Sea Devils genuinely to me is like bottom tier. Like, probably some of the worst Doctor Who ever made. That's probably controversial, but I genuinely think it's that bad. It just has nothing redeeming in it for me at all. Its dialogue is so forced. Editing is super choppy. The Hua Shen, I mean, what even was that? it just swims away. No, Legend of the Sea Devils is bad, and it was bad, and you should feel bad. Power of the Doctor. I've sort of already talked about this one at length a couple of times now, so I probably aren't going to spend too long on it at this stage. I probably would. The thing is, it's weird because my lists are kind of a combination of enjoyment and quality. Hang on, I'm not putting it there. Ah, it's stuck there now. I'm trying to get it off the list. No. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it above here. It's one of those ones where it's like quality wise, not the best, but it does do enough for me to like enjoy it. So I don't know. I probably would put it above a lot of this. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, honestly, I enjoy it more than most of these. So yeah, that's where it goes. S tier Paul McGann is in it. Fair enough. Yeah, Paul McGann's the best. Alternate title: a bunch of sea parrots with a forced relationship and irrelevantly known characters. I mean, yeah, it's Madam Ching, Pirate Queen. The dialogue is so bad. It's just. Oh, can I post my final list? To be fair, I do want to make some slight alterations, just sort of in order wise. So, I kind of think Spyfall Part 1's been. I kind of think Spyfall Part 1's been ranked too highly. I kind of think. Do I do it? I think I will. Yeah. No, that feels about right. Okay, let me make some other adjustments. Top of C tier. I think I've adjusted that fairly well. Yeah. D tier. Yeah, no, I am happy with this list, to be fair. Paradox have gotta be an A. Come on, Big T. It's not. The thing is, if you watch it and don't think about it, it's fine. But if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, its entire plot falls apart. Like the whole seismology thing and the paintings and Tegan falling down the stairs and like it just like it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like how does the master control that Quarinx thing with his tissue compression eliminate to kill the Doctor? If you think about it for more than 5 seconds, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm keeping it in B. Yeah, Vanquishers did go in D tier. And I had to create my own category for Legend of the Sea Devils just because I genuinely really disliked that episode. I felt like I'm the only one who hated Can You Hear Me, so thanks, buddy. Don't get me wrong, I do think that like Power of the Doctor is quite poorly written, but I enjoy it more than a lot of this. So that's the thing. This is within the context of the era itself. So I'm not basing it. I'm not doing a whole like if I was judging this against the Moffat and like Davies era. Yeah, obviously this would look very different. But this is just in the confines of this era. So within the confines of this era, S tier, Haunting of Villa World of Centaurans. A tier, Village of the Angels Resolution. B tier, Power of the Doctor, Spyfall Part 1, When We Fell to Earth, Nikola Tesla. C tier, we've got Demons, Rosa, Takes You Away, Fugitive, Halloween Apocalypse, Revolution, Eve, Ascension, Once Upon a Time, Kablam, Spyfall Part 2, Timeless Children, this is D tier now, so Spyfall Part 2, Timeless Children, Ghost Monument, Can You Hear Me, Witchfinders, Praxius, Saranga Conundrum, Arachnids in the UK, Orphan 55, Survivors of the Flux, The Vanquishers, Battle Around Square of Kolos, and then in its own separate category, we have Legend of the Sea Devils. Move Punjab up to A. I just don't enjoy it that much. I don't know. It does kind of feel weird having it next to like. Okay, I'll move it to B tier, but I'm not moving it to A. It's gonna go in B tier. Yeah, no, I'll move it into B tier for you. There you are. I get you, but you considered Paul McGann as it. I've considered that. I've considered it. But yeah, that's my final ranking for the Whittaker era. Thank you to all who watched. This was a very fun stream to do. I'm a head off now. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you for the next stream. I'll tell you what, I'll save it, and I will send it to Twitter, so everyone can ratio me on my opinions and say that I'm an idiot for them. You could be the first one to do that right now. Era ranking. Boop, ba-doop, ba-doop. Bam. And it's gone. Do those RTD lines, coward. Wait, which ones? Which RTD lines? Cheers, Darius. Oh yeah, no, sorry, yes, sorry, I forgot. Yes, I will. I will do that. Thank you, Harbour, for reminding me. Yes, I will. It just took me a sec to clock what you meant, but yes. Loved it. Cheers, no worries. Best ranking of Whittaker I've seen. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I will sing a song before you go. Doctor in Distress. Let's all answer it. Yeah, this is within the context of the era. Oh yeah, I probably should add that. I'll probably just say that. This is within the context of this era. Because, like, the thing is, Warlords and Tyrants would probably, like, B tier on, like, an overall list, to be honest. But that's, like, the peak, you know? There we are. No, my ears. You never did Twice Upon a Time. I mean, can you count that as a Whittaker-era story? I mean, she's in it, but I'd hardly call it a story of her era. Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, Doctor Who, the TARDIS, Doctor Who, yes. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.